and thanks to that Misty C, he's able to tank that Shadow Ball quite well. Garchomp's going to drop off an Earthquake. I expect this to come very close to KOing Arcanine, but I don't think it will. Yeah, there we go, 26 HP left. And we got a Trick Room up from that Porygon, so pretty good turn there for Nathan. He's putting a lot of pressure on that Garchomp by having the Ice Beam pressure under Trick Room. And now instead of Nathan having to stall out Tailwind like it was before, now Gwen's got to try to stall out this Trick Room and get back into a position where her Tapu Lele can come back and close out the game. Garchomp's probably going to either want to switch out or protect here because Drifloon's not exactly being very threatening. It can do Shadow Ball to Arcanine and pick up the KO, but it really can't do anything to that P2. And right now, Gwen's got to really think how she's got to get rid of this P2 because it's just going to sit around there and recover and probably can even 1v1 the Tapu Lele if it came down to that. So let's see what these trainers decide to do to try to close out this game. So we are going to see the Ice Beam come out onto that Garchomp, and it's going to probably come close but not pick up the KO, and as you can see, that's actually a fairly bulky Garchomp, taking that Ice Beam rather well. And it's getting doubled into a Flare Blitz, but he manages to survive, so this could be pretty big if she manages to get some damage with like say a Tectonic Rage onto this Porygon, but we'll have to see. Just a Poison Jab coming out onto this Porygon, possibly going for the Poison to try to wear it down, and there's a Shadow Ball coming out. I'm imagining that went into the Arcanine, but it KO'd itself, so it didn't have a chance to hit anything with it. So Tapu Fini is coming back in, and again, Nathan's got some pretty good positioning here. That Porygon 2 has got a lot of bulk behind it. We still got 3 more turns of Trick Room, so if you're Gwen, you've got to try to think how am I going to be able to both stall out this Trick Room and be able to KO this Porygon 2 at the end. It looks like Nathan's just going to Ice Beam that Garchomp and pick up the KO. So now Nathan's in a great position with Trick Room up, and he's got Tapu Fini, who just set up a Calm Mind. So it's going to be even harder for this Tapu Lele to get rid of. And let's see what the Drifloon goes up for. With the Drifloon goes for a Shadow Ball onto that Tapu Fini. A special defense drop would be nice, and it looks like that's a critical hit. Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Nathan. Now that gives Gwen a lot of life here now because another Shadow Ball could knock out that Tapu Fini, and I'm surely a Psychic from this Tapu Lele will knock out that Tapu Fini. So it's just a matter of first of all, if you're Nathan, you've just got to hope that your Porygon 2 is able to weather the storm and be able to take out these 2 Pokemon. In the end, he probably would want to get rid of the Drifloon first, just because it could sit there and go for some Will-O-Wisps, or onto the P2 induce a little bit to its longevity. But in the end game, it's probably going to end up being can this P2 outlast this Tapu Lele and KO it once Psychic Terrain goes down? And we see that Tapu Lele takes an Ice Beam, and it also takes a Moonblast, so that's pretty good for Nathan because the Tapu Lele is going to be really the only thing that can damage that Porygon 2, as Drifloon only seems to have Shadow Ball. Oh, that's a big damage onto the Porygon 2. He might be in range of another Psychic after a recover. Oh, but the Tapu Fini manages to hang on and reveal that Pinch Berry, so Tapu Lele Fini will have enough health to last through this turn and probably the next. So it's looking pretty good for Nathan. Still got 1 more turn of Trick Room left, and both of his Pokemon are faster than both of Gwen's Pokemon. So, judging by the damage on that from that Tapu Lele, we're likely seeing a Choice Specs Tapu Lele. So it should be pretty safe. Just attack the Lele with the Fini, recover with Porygon, and then Porygon will be able to handle this Drifloon pretty easily, as it cannot hit it with any damaging attacks. So here comes the Moonblast, and that's going on to the Tapu Lele, and that should pick up the knockout, and it does. So it looks like Nathan should be able to seal this up just by perpetually Ice Beaming that Drifloon with this Porygon until it's knocked out. So both of these opponents, when you get to these sort of endgame situations, what I like to do is sort of take my time to think about what I'm going to do in the next game, because right now, if you're Gwen, you got to think about what you did right and what you did wrong this game and how you can try to improve it. And if you're Nathan, you got to think, okay, what sort of adjustments could Gwen make to try to win the next game, and think what sort of plays he can make to respond to that. So right now the game's pretty much decided, so we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what sort of things they go for. You see the Toxic come out and miss onto that Porygon 2. Onto the Drifloon. I don't think it's going to matter, as The Porygon 2 can just Ice Beam its way to victory from this point. And Tapu Fini goes for the Protect, probably just because it wants to distract the Drifloon for a little bit longer. And we should see an Ice Beam out to Porygon 2. Porygon 2 should be able to hit about 3-hit KO, 2-hit KO should get this Drifloon. And yeah, it should be one more Ice Beam. So that looks like it's going to be game for Nathan. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that one thing that Gwen could do better to try to win this one is to not giving off that Magnezone really early really hurt the matchup. Because as I said, Magnezone does very well against everything on that team except Arcanine and Kartana. So just, if you can manage to avoid those two Pokemon, then Magnezone can really have a way with Nathan's team. And if you're Nathan, you've got to just stick to the game plan like last time. He was able to get rid of the Magnezone early, and then from there he was just able to stop the Tailwind using Trick Room, and it was kind of straight smooth sailing from there once that Magnezone went down turn 1. So we'll see how these trainers react and adjust to this game. Alright, looks like they're getting ready to go, so let's see. I always like to see how long it takes for these players to make their turn. Sometimes you make your selections right away if you think, okay, what I did last game worked out pretty well, I'm just going to go right ahead with it, or maybe you thought about it in that end game when it was just the Drifloon sitting around, you thought about, oh, what I'm going to use for this team, and are ready right away. Other times you kind of want to think about it, maybe see how quickly your opponent makes their selection, and then you can, if your opponent picks really quickly, maybe you think, okay, I think based off how the results went, maybe they're just going back with what they know. So, but it looks like both of these opponents, they're taking their time a little bit more compared to last game where they both locked in rather quickly. So it seems like Gwen's got her Pokemon locked in, and Nate's still taking a little bit of time to think. Yeah, I think Gwen might want to switch up the Drifloon top of the Lele lead after having run into the Kartana, but we'll see how this goes this turn. Also, she's got some good information learning that Kartana is holding a Z Crystal and it's not Focus Sash, so it could go down to any combination of attacks like Shadow Ball from Drifloon. And we do see Drifloon and Magnezone, so she's got that Magnezone, which is quite a threat to her team, and then Nathan's got the two things that threaten the Magnezone the most on his team, being the Kartana and the Arcanine, so interesting to see what Gwen decides to do here. It looks like Nathan's in a pretty good spot here. He does have to watch out for a Will-O-Wisp or a Shadow Ball onto his Kartana, but that Arcanine is very free right now. The worst thing that could happen to it is it could take a Shadow Ball, or it could take a strong Thunderbolt from this Magnezone, but we'll see. We'll end up seeing what these two trainers went for. It looks like the Tapu Fini is coming in for the Kartana to avoid that Will-O-Wisp for sure, and also give the Misty Seed boost to the Arcanine, which will help it both live any sort of attack from either of these Mons, and will just in general contribute to the bulk with Arcanine. We see Gwen go for a Tailwind. Arcanine is using Thief, so he steals the Misty Seed, which is or the Psychic Seed. So if Gwen decides to bring in her top Lele, that Arcanine will be at +2 special defense, but more importantly, that Drifloon can't get any boosts no matter who she switches. But on the other side, though, now Drifloon thanks to its Unburden ability, is now a boosted speed, so that Drifloon will be able to outspeed everything on the field, including that Kartana that was previously on the field, which might have been faster than that Drifloon. Yeah, but right now the Tapu Fini, it's in an okay spot because while it's threatened by that Magnezone, is probably going to the Arcanine really threatens the Magnezone back, so it's going to be interesting to see. And Gwen decides to leave that Magnezone in. Looks like we're going to see a Z Electric coming out. If I had to guess, I'd say this is coming out onto the Arcanine, but you never know. Both are pretty good targets for it. I think the Arcanine might be able to live it with that Misty Seed boost. Tapu Lele Fini would definitely go down to this move, so let's see who this ends up targeting. And she did go for the Tapu Lele Fini, so that is goodbye Tapu Fini, which is definitely good because now Nathan doesn't have, unless he has Tapu Koko in back, he doesn't have a way to get rid of Psychic Terrain if Gwen decides to bring in her Tapu Lele. as we see Arcanine go for a Flare Blitz onto the Magnezone and do a hefty amount of damage, but also do a hefty amount of damage back to itself, possibly putting itself into Thunderbolt plus Shadow Ball range. So if Gwen were to decide to double into that Arcanine this turn, that would most likely pick up a KO. The Magnezone does have to watch out for potential extreme speed coming out from this Arcanine, but if Gwen predicts that, she could switch in her Tapu Fini or Tapu Lele to block that attack. And it'll be interesting to see what they go for here. Magnezone can do big damage to that Kartana. I don't think it will be able to pick up the knockout, but it depends how that Kartana is trained. Most Z-move Kartanas can take a Thunderbolt. Drifloon could also go for, she could also switch in the Tapu Lele and go for a Will-O-Wisp onto the Kartana, though I don't expect that to happen unless she's expecting perhaps a Sacred Sword onto the Magnezone spot. Looks like we've got an Extreme Speed coming out to pick up a KO on that Magnezone from Nathan, so Gwen's Magnezone picked up the KO on Tapu Fini, but now it's got to go back down. And we see Drifloon Shadow Ball onto that Arcanine, getting the special defense drop, which is pretty big because it doesn't look like another one would be able to KO, but with the special defense drop it will. And now we've got Bloom Doom from Kartana coming out. That's going to be onto the Drifloon, of course, because there is no more Magnezone. This is going to do a lot. It could pick up the KO, but I think it might be just a little bit short. Drifloon having a very high HP and very low base defense will take a hefty amount from this Bloom Doom. Oh, it does pick up the KO, so that's a very good turn for Nathan. We still got one more turn of Tailwind, but Nathan has access to Protect on both his Mons, so he could just stall out the last turn of Tailwind. It should be pretty smooth sailing, and not much on Gwen's team can take an attack from a +1 Kartana. So let's see what Gwen decides to try to do about this. First brings in the Garchomp, and now the Tapu Lele. I do not know what item is on this Garchomp. If the Garchomp is holding a Choice Scarf, then that could be pretty big for Gwen, as he would be able to outspeed and potentially one-hit KO this Kartana with a Fire Fang. And there we see the Arcanine getting the second special defense boost to mitigate the defense drop it just got, but you don't see that every day where an Arcanine gets to use 2 seeds, but I guess that's what happens when you run a Thief Arcanine. So let's see how what these trainers decide to do for this turn. It looks like pretty safe Devil Protect on Nathan's side. Yeah, we're going to see a Protect coming out from that Kartana. And I wonder if Arcanine protects as well. It does not, so maybe it doesn't have it. Maybe he just wanted to get a free switch into something else. But in any case, Arcanine takes the Rock Slide, and it's going to be knocked out by that move. So it's going to come down to a 2-on-2 situation. But Nathan's Kartana is at a boosted attack stat. So we'll see what he has in back. If he has something that can, like a Porygon or Tapu Koko, yeah, it's going to be really hard for Gwen to get rid of this Porygon without with being pressured by that Kartana as much as it is. Maybe if Lele can live. I don't think Lele's can take +1 Leaf Blades. I don't think Nathan's Kartana may not have Smart Strike, as Bloom Doom Kartanas tend not to, but we'll see how it goes. Leaf Blade, oh, that's not going to kick up the KO, so we'll see what happens. We got a Fire Fang coming down onto that Kartana, and he lives it. Big survival there by that Kartana, as you're going to see a Psychic coming out at the Porygon 2, doing a little bit more than half, and an Ice Beam coming out onto that Garchomp. Or no, on the Tapu Lele slot. Ooh, this is an interesting spot now, because I don't know if Earthquake would pick up the KO here from Gwen, but I don't think Leaf Blade will pick up the KO either, and it looks like Kartana will get KO'd if he goes for a Leaf Blade if that is a Rough Skin Kartana or Garchomp. So it'll be interesting to see if Gwen sees that win condition where if she can go for, say, a Tech Rage onto the Porygon 2 and pick up a KO, and then have Kartana knock out itself to Rough Skin damage, that could potentially be a win, but I don't know if this is a Rough Skin Garchomp, or if Kartana, she could just decide to go for an Earthquake, which may even get the KO added with a single target. So here we see it is a Rough Skin Garchomp, so that's going to be the end of Kartana. So I think this looks like Gwen's in a great position as a single target Earthquake. Let's see if this is enough to get rid of this Porygon 2. Going down. Oh, he lives with 8 HP. We'll see if Garchomp can manage. Garchomp is going to go down, so that is a very close set, but it looks like Nathan is going to take this Seniors Final 2-0 over Gwen. So congratulations to Nathan, who is our Fort Wayne Senior VGC champion.